The other day, I was talking to a very good friend of mine on the phone, and as we do occasionally, we chat about things one of us calls the other just to catch up on life. And of course, I made the mistake of saying, "Hey, how's it going?" like I normally would. After this tirade of his ups and downs of his life and everything he's going through and things with finances and everything else and how expensive life has gotten, he says, "Well, I guess I'm just living the dream." Apparently, the American dream is not what it used to be. And for many, it actually feels like we're more killing ourselves than living a dream. So let's see what that dream is doing for you. What is the American dream? I guess my definition of the American dream would be knowing that I can achieve success in my future. Whatever that means to me, whatever I want to do. When I was a kid and we talked about living the American dream, I probably thought that, someday I want to have a nice house. I want to have the car of my dreams, maybe. For some people, it's 2.3 kids and a dog. It's being able to take a vacation every year, or maybe having a little bit of savings in the bank. What is the American dream? It's different for most, but there are probably a few things that are same for all of us that we kind of want to check off that bucket list. Today, though, it seems to many people that to even get close to living that dream is very, very difficult. We say, well, inflation is just killing me. I don't make enough at my job. I work so hard, but I can't seem to save any money. My bills are through the roof. The kids cost a ton of money. The house costs a ton of money. You can actually pay for a car what you would have paid for a house 30, 40, 50 years ago. It is amazing how hard it is to live the American dream. This isn't just here, right? This isn't just in the USA. When I talk to our counterparts all over the world, in Germany, in Russia, we have friends in Italy, Spain, Portugal. They're going through the same thing. So it's not so much that we can't achieve the dream and that it's just something here, the American dream is impossible. No, people are kind of fighting the same thing everywhere we go. But I would like to make one quick clarification, and that is that it will always seem like it would have been easier in the past, like life would have been better, cheaper, smoother, simpler. And I'm sure that people in the 1920s looked back and said, "Oh, geez, shucks, why in 1899 when gold was cheap and houses were cheap, why didn't I buy gold and homes?" In the 50s, they were looking back and saying the same thing, going, "Why didn't I buy in the 20s?" And in the 1980s, we were all saying, "Why didn't we buy in the 50s and 60s when, oh, geez, they were practically giving houses away?" And today, we're doing the very same thing. 2026, and we're saying, what were we doing? Why weren't we buying property? Why weren't we buying gold and silver in 2005, right? So it's always going to seem like the time you are living in is the most expensive time and that your money doesn't go that far. So why is I think we're not living the American dream. We are living in the American scheme. The system is not broken. Some people will say, well, the system's broken. That's why, we're not living our dream and why we can't get ahead. No, the system isn't really broken. Actually, the system is doing exactly what it was designed to do. You see, it's working exactly as it's supposed to. It was designed by very smart, cunning, manipulative, deceptive people who control the world, the higher ups, maybe even less than the 1%, the even smaller faction of people who are designing things like politics and government and banking. It doesn't have drawbacks. Oh no, the system doesn't have drawbacks. The system has features. But see, these features aren't designed to benefit the average working class person. They're actually designed to benefit a very few people who sit at the top. The extremely wealthy, the very greedy, the corporate and political entities that kind of control most of what goes on. How are we supposed to rise above this system? How can we truly live the American dream, whatever that is for you, whatever you want to achieve. For starters, we have to play our own game. See, that's what I do. I don't play the game that's been sort of dealt out to me by the governments of the world and by the systems of the world and by these schools of the world telling me to live, work, earn, and do my life in a certain fashion, because that would be like me playing a basketball game against Michael Jordan. You know, where I live, I have a beautiful tennis court here and a basketball court, and sometimes I'll go out and I'll shoot some hoops with some family members, some friends, or my nieces and nephews when they come to visit. I'm not a great basketball player, but you know, against family and friends, I can probably hold my own, and I know I'm going to score a little bit. Against Michael Jordan, the odds are completely stacked against me. I mean, he has an advantage. I'm not even calling it an unfair advantage. Michael has worked for everything that he gained as a basketball player, but he also has some physical advantages that I don't have, right? Being 5'9", I'm not a tall person, and I'm okay basketball player. So he's got some advantages. I know without any fear or shame or anxiety that if I played against Michael Jordan, I probably wouldn't make 1 point, right? Unless he like fell down. Point is, it's an unfair game. And that's what it's like when we try and play the systems game. How can we win? How can we do that? Well, we play our own game. And how we do that is, number one, we start by getting educated, right? We get educated about money. We get educated about world finance. We get educated about banking and how the dollar really, really, truly works. How do we do that? Well, you're doing it right now. Just watching this program, going online, going on YouTube, reading a book, learning about money and finances is the beginning of it all. Speaking of getting educated, that's one of the questions I ask everyone who comes into my office. If I'm going to do a consultation with them on business or finance or anything for that matter, I say, what have you learned about money? And 99 times out of 100, people will say, well, nothing. And this is actually coming from, kids who just graduated college. And this is also coming from 50-year-olds and 70-year-olds. And they'll sit down and I'll say, what were you taught about money? And they all say the same thing, very little or nothing. And I mean, you went to all those years of grade school. You went to all those years of high school. You graduated. Maybe you went to secondary school or college. Maybe you took very specific classes. Well, unless you were going to be a CPA, an accountant, or a financial planner, you weren't taught anything about money. And even then, you were taught just the systems that they wanted you to know so that maybe you could handle some financial planning for a few select people. So the answer to that question is we're not taught anything about money. So when you begin to get educated, that is the beginning of you being able to play your own game on a level playing field, because now you have information. So number one, always continue your education about finance. And if you haven't begun yet, then now is the time to start. 2, stop being sold. I mean, and I'm not just talking about spending your money and putting your money out into the world and being sold a physical item. I mean, stop being sold everything you're told. I'm not even trying to make a poem here. Once we latch onto an idea, we're sold. And we're sold on that idea. And it doesn't matter whether it's political or financial or some education that you've been taught. You then go out and find the information that supports how you already think, just to renew your belief that you are what? Correct. So we're initially sold. They say the average person sees over 5,000 to 10,000 ads a day. And I'm not even sold that bill of goods. That's 100% false. I mean, very recently I went around and I logged in every time an ad popped up on my phone. Every time I even looked at a billboard, I just put a check mark in my little black book. A whole day went by between my phone and TV and billboards and driving around and on the radio. I actually took in less than 100 ads. That's for an entire day. This whole thing that people tell you, oh, you're being hit with 5,000 to 10,000 ads a day. It's just not possible. You would have to be hit with an ad every 3 to 4 seconds and take in that ad, which is not possible. And even if you did look, you're not looking, maybe you're scrolling right past it. You're not paying attention. But that would be every single hour of the day. There's only 1,440 minutes in a day. And you're sleeping for about 400 plus of those hours. So in the 1,000 minutes a day, for you to be hit with 5,000 ads, you would have to get hit with 5 ads per minute or 10 ads per minute, right? Every 6 seconds, I don't think so. That's just not happening. But the idea is if you think you're being hit with that many ads, it almost makes it okay. It's expected now. It's okay. I'm going to see thousands of ads, and maybe you will continue to be sold. So second rule, stop being sold. Third rule I have for playing my own game and not going with this system, which is more rigged than not, is I save for large purchases. This isn't really a big deal. If I'm going to buy something, a large purchase, even a home, I'm saving for a very large down. Or more yet, I've bought properties with cash, just saved up the money, had the money, and just plunk down whatever it took to acquire that property, lock, stock, and barrel. But with cars, definitely those are purchased with cash. So I save for large purchases and I avoid small purchases like the plague. That's all that point of purchase stuff. I definitely don't need that stick of gum and that National Enquirer and that candy bar. Sorry, Enquirer, but I just don't need it. That's stuff that we get sold to, and it doesn't allow you to save because you're just plinking away the money and giving it away to someone else and funding their future. So I'm trying to fund my future, and that requires me to save for large purchases and avoid small purchases. And finally, another way that I just don't go in for this system, which people say is broken, but really is designed perfectly to get all of our time and all of our money and all of our attention, is I don't use credit. So I'm not a credit card person. I don't really borrow money. I save money, and then I put that money to work for me. So if I need money for larger purchases, I actually can just borrow from myself. And I do this constantly. I kind of pretend that I'm my own bank. I don't go in for subscriptions. I don't do buy now and pay later. And if I want something, I save up the money and I buy it. If for some reason I wanted something that I could not yet afford, what I would do is I would just have this thing called patience, and I would save more money over a greater period of time and basically go into it strong and just pay for it with cash. When you use credit cards on a regular basis, you've probably already seen that. You've probably already seen the effects and the downfall of man just on credit. But now with buy now, pay later, subscriptions, Klarna, going in and being able to finance anything from some new tires for your car to a cell phone. Basically, we owe, so it's off to work we go. Get educated, stop being sold, save for large purchases, avoid small purchases, and stop using credit and credit cards. There's nothing wrong with building up your credit and having a good credit score. I don't see any problem with that. However, I do see a problem when it gets abused and then we try and pay for everything and we end up backpedaling for most of our life. So from here on out, you are going to continue your financial education, because if you keep falling for the American dream, then you might as well just stay asleep. My name is Daniel F. Margasa. You are watching the Almost Criminal Millionaire channel. And if you enjoy learning about the topic of finance, money, and how to truly improve the health and wealth of your bank account, then please like and subscribe for more.